Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to Harmoniously podcast. Today we have a special guest, Jamie, who's a psychedelic psychotherapist. Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Hello, Mel. How are you? I'm doing great.
Yes. So, thank you for coming to our podcast. And as always, we love to start with a tuning practice. So, which is just like take a cup of breath together. So, if you want, you can. Everyone who listening, you, Jamie, we can just take a comfortable position. If you're not driving, you can close your eyes and just start to focus to your breath. Let's just take a cup of breath together. So to come into this space, to arrive into the present, to enter in the space of this podcast, of this sharing. And again, another breath. And then slowly open your eyes. So thank you for being here. And if you want to share a little bit about you, your amazing journey.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's an honor and a privilege to be with you today,
Thank
and I appreciate it. So tell you about myself. Well, we have a few days, right?
you. Absolutely.
Um, yes, I am a psychedelic psychotherapist. Um, it's interesting how I got to be on this path. I probably believe that I was destined to be here. My parents um, live in Oregon, and so I was raised with plant medicine, pretty much.
Okay.
My parents were hippies, they had their own journeys. We smoked cannabis and grew cannabis and um, had their own psychedelics. Of course, I didn't know that when I was a
Yeah.
kid. I knew cannabis they didn't hide from us, but I'm sure there are other experimental medicines they
Mm.
didn't they didn't tell us about. And I was the square. My dad even I should get into that story in a minute. Um, I was the square, and I went to college and became an educator, and I really liked the school counselors did for our students. So I decided I only taught, I think, for 2 years, 3 years max, and got my master's degree. And while I was getting my master's degree, the very first year, one of my professors needed a counselor in his school
Mm.
district and hired me
Oh,
without even
wow.
finishing my degree. So I was a school counselor for several years while I was getting my master's as a counselor. And fast forward, I opened up my own business. And while I had my own practice, my husband is a combat burn survivor veteran. And a lot of our friends were veterans. And one of my very, very best friends lives in Cocoa Beach. She's amazing, she's a veteran. And I hadn't talked to her in probably 3 or 4 weeks, and we were
Mm.
FaceTiming each other. And I said to her, you know, something's really changed. It's not your counselor. I can tell you that. It's not yoga. So it's not meditation. I said, what have you done that has brought about this change like in the last few weeks? And she said, please don't judge me. I said, absolutely not. She goes, I did ayahuasca.
Mm.
And I judged her in saying, you effing B, when did you go to South America without me? And she's like, what? She goes, I didn't go to South America. And I said, oh. where did you go do ayahuasca? And she goes, right here in Florida. And I ran on my computer and I signed up. That very
Wow.
moment, that
Oh,
very
wow.
moment, I had been wanting to do ayahuasca for 10 years.
Mm.
My son had given me a fictional book about this girl. And I loved the story. And it was about a girl who had done ayahuasca.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
And it was while he was in college. So fast forward 10 years later, I'm talking to my girlfriend and she says, ayahuasca. And so, of course, you know that when the medicina calls you, the medicina calls you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it called me. And so I did ayahuasca that one time. And I can't remember if that was a 3 ceremony or one of them that they had done a 4 ceremony on Thursday. For
Mm.
some reason, I want to say it was a 4 ceremony um, one. So anyway, every 3 months, I would travel back to Florida and I would volunteer one weekend and drink another weekend. And I volunteered for the veteran ceremonies and
Mm.
eventually um, started integration coaching, which tied right in. I was already
For the
a counselor.
veterans.
Oh, yeah. I started the integration coaching with the veterans.
Okay.
Um, and then my own practice became integration coaching. And
Mm.
then it just developed from there where I now I work with a shaman who does ceremonies and I hold space and volunteer and facilitate at those ceremonies and then I'm the integration coach for them. And
Yeah.
then I work with also um, ayahuasca turned me onto, I should say, the more profound thing that it turned me onto was shadow ceremonies.
Mhm.
Um, I had already been doing Carl Jungian psychotherapy,
Mhm.
but then I met, I don't know if you've had on your podcast Stephen Twig yet, which
No,
would be
not yet.
in.
That would be nice. Yes.
Oh yes, get him on your podcast, and he's just a brilliant man. He's just brilliant, um, and probably one of my best friends, and of course my brother. Um, he started the shadow integration calls and then
Mhm.
started doing shadow ceremonies and that now we have our shadow integration calls and our shadow ceremonies and that's probably what's the nearest and dearest to my heart and thanks to Mama Aya for bringing that
Nice.
to my life because I mean between the shadow ceremonies and ayahuasca and psilocybin and Kambo and all these other
Mhm.
ceremonies people are healing. They're healing from their
Mm.
wounds at a rapid pace.
Mhm.
A very
Yeah,
rapid pace.
that's so fascinating. And so what really interested me, it was the fact that you were able to see that your friend did something extra than just counseling or yoga. And I'm a big believer in yoga, but we know how sometimes we need that extra like help from this plant medicine that are calling us. So, and as now your life is about supporting people in integrating or continue doing your therapy work, but still having these tools in your toolbox to support the transformation, even deeper transformation. So I'm really interested to know. So your experience as a counselor or as therapist, integration coach, however you are serving them, so when these tools came into your life as a professional, so what is the difference that you see and how you're using them? I think this is a big question, but I'm so interested to see. You were doing that before plant medicine, and now with all these tools, how is your work and your approach to clients and their transformation? How it is everything right now?
It's interesting, and I've never thought about that before. As you've asked that question, I would probably have to say that plant medicine made my practice thrive.
Hmm.
I mean, absolutely within months.
Hmm.
Within months of having participating in my own ceremony, with
Mhm.
Mama Aya, um, my business. honestly do zero marketing.
Okay.
I have a wait list.
Oh, wow.
Um, and my clients, I believe, because I've shifted, because I've made adjustments about me
Mhm.
and my approach, I believe their healing takes place much, I don't want to say faster, maybe on a deeper level. Since I've had plant medicine in my life, um, and my tool bag, you're absolutely right. Like I now have this tool bag that's so full of tools that, working with people, um, depression, trauma, anxiety, um, communication issues, self doubt, whatever it is, I I feel like they they see me differently.
Hmm.
Therefore, they heal.
Okay.
Does
So
that make
even,
sense?
yeah, so you mean like even if they don't use those tools, because you have this connection with this plant medicine since the very first time, your presence is so different that it reflects into your work and in them, and so they are able to go into a deeper level of
Yes.
healing or
Yes.
work.
hmm yes, that's exactly it. You said that perfectly. Yes, that's exactly what it is. So
Hmm.
not, I mean, I'm a counselor, right? So
Hmm.
I don't suggest plant medicine to them. I don't, this is their thing. If a client asks me about plant medicine, or when I'm doing their intake and they tell me I do cannabis, I do mushrooms, I've done, I mean, because those are part of my questionnaire, have you done benzodiazepines, any hallucinogens? Like I want to know their medical history. Um,
Hmm.
if they bring it up and they talk to me about it, I am absolutely not going to lie to them. And I will let them know, hey, if you're doing these things, you really need to have an integration coach. You really need to, because medicina, yes, of course, going in and doing the medicine is, 2 to 5% of it. But the other 95 to 98% is integrating it
Hmm.
and actively integrating it.
Hmm. Absolutely. So
So
I
yeah.
would love to know your approach to integration.
Oh, there's so many tools out there, right?
I know, and each one have their approach, and also like as you said, you have maybe your relationship with the medicine, and the medicine probably taught you some ways, right? Also for yourself and how she knows everything. So she taught you maybe how you can approach with others. And then you also have all your baggage and your knowledge from before the medicine. So how, yeah, what's your approach? A nice cup with the hummingbird.
Yeah, this was actually given to me by,
Yeah.
she's now a Reiki master. She is one of the volunteers in our ceremony spaces.
Hmm.
Um, and of course, she's done ceremony. This is my Christmas present, and it
Ah,
says keep
nice.
it simple on the
Yeah.
inside. And this is the cup I always drink my guayusa tea in,
Mm.
because the hummingbird, of course, connects with, and speaks with God. So I
Mm.
want what I bring into my body to be connected to God. So thank you for the compliment.
Mm.
Um, I think the biggest thing when it comes to integration coaching, or even as a counselor, is that you meet a person where they're
Yes. Mm.
and going hollow. I can't bring myself into their healing space. And going hollow is probably the hardest thing a person can do. And you have to know how to go hollow.
Hmm.
And that's probably the biggest thing, for me with integration coaching and counseling is as soon as I walk through the threshold. the doorway into my office. People who come through my doorway, they will tell me, whoa, just going through that doorway, there's an energetic shift. Because this office, this room is sacred. They say the same thing about my healing center. That as soon as they drive in, they can feel the shift on the property, because we cleanse the property. We do ceremony. It's 20 acres. We do ceremony on the entire property. We cleanse it. We sing to it. We give it love. And that's the same thing I do in this space. So as soon as I come into my office, it's cleansed. And then I come and cleanse myself. I have my own, and every day is different. You know, I channel God, channel Mama Aya, channel whatever is being brought to me. And I cleanse. I light a candle. I have a candle that I light every day. And I bring in the spirit guides to hold space and to be with us and be present. And, you know, I might have an essential oil or an incense or something that I put on my altar in my office that is with me and present. And then every client, as soon as they come into the space, whether it's on Zoom or in person, I, just like you, do a little breathing, do a self check-in, and then we begin. Because I want them to be purely in the space with intention. And then again, I meet them where they're at. So if today is a day that they're full of anxiety, or they had a huge download and they don't know how to cope with it, then let's process through that. Whether we need to do a little shadow work, whether we need to do some breath work, whether we need to do some talking, you know, talk therapy, whether we need to do some processing, whether we need to do journaling, whatever it is. Sometimes we even play some music while we're, you know, integrating. Like, hey, it sounds like you need to hear a little bit of spiritual juice, you know.
I like that. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Well, yes. So I would like to ask you more when you say, and probably this may not be clear for everyone, when you say become hollow. So what's that you mean by that?
Good question. That you're right. Not many people. So going hollow to me is I want to show up to the person authentically with them, but not taking on everything that they're experiencing and sharing. And I don't want to bring anything from the outside world or anything from my past or my current situation into what we are going through at that moment, what they're sharing with me. So I do want to empathize with them. So if, you know, if they're sharing, oh, my husband and I got in a fight, you know, I want to be able to not think about my husband and a fight we might have had. Or I don't want to project anything about that person's husband and with their community. I want to stay totally with them and what they're feeling, what they're expressing, what they're going through, what can be helpful in their healing. So that my tool bag just shows up for what is needed right then, in that moment, with them. And so going hollow is really hard because it's shielding yourself, but at the same time being open.
Yeah.
And it's just such a fine line to not take on what they're absolutely going through. It's really hard. And there's times where I've gotten gotten too deep into it, and they're shedding tears, and I'm feeling the tears wallow up in me because I'm experiencing
Mm-hmm.
too much of what they're experiencing. I'm really feeling their pain. So it is a
Mm-hmm.
fine line to stay within my own form, but also hold as much space for them as possible.
Mm-hmm. And that's beautiful. While you were talking, I thought of Sadhguru when he says that you want to be like the present, being present, and it is being fully involved but stay untouched. So
And I
really,
like that.
yeah,
Who was it?
Sadhguru. Yeah, it's my guru. I follow him. It says fully involved but completely untouched. And that's also in the interview. Someone was asking him, "Who's the most important person in your life right now?" And he just said, "You." Because he said, in the sense, like, you're in front of me. So it's, I think that's summarize what you say about being out. Like your client, you're in front of me. You're the most important person in my life right now. Well, the attention is on you at the same time. So I'm fully involved in you at the same time. I'm fully attached, so that I can be, as you said, this aloe bone that just support your growth. So that's beautiful. At the same time, I notice myself that many people are not used to be received in this way. They're used to being told what to do, and they're almost looking for you to give them the answer. What's your experience with that?
It's actually pretty funny you say that. I I have two clients currently, and very much teaching them how not to look outside of themselves for answers, but to teach them to look inside of themselves for answers.
Mm-hmm.
And I have one of my clients. He cracks me up. He's like, "Well, you're the professional. Tell me." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. So let me ask you some questions." And then I ask them some questions that they answer themselves because they have the answers. All of us have the answers. They come from within. The other client that I was thinking of, he will say, "Hey, I want to tell you something that I'm going to do. I want your opinion about it."
Oh,
And
yes,
it's
also that.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. And then I'll ask him. So it's the number one question I'll ask that then when they're asking me for my advice. So what's the benefit you're going to get from this? And they answer their own questions like, "Oh yeah, this is stupid. I shouldn't do this." Or, "Oh yeah, that's why I
Mm.
am doing this." Okay, then yeah, I'm spot on. So, one way or the other. Um, and that's what we need, is someone to just give us a hand up, not a hand out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when we're in our suffering, we do, and I'm guilty of it too. I've called you asking for
Mm-hmm.
advice. So we just need someone to be there, be supportive, and give us a compass. We already know how to use it. We just forget that we don't, that we
Mm-hmm.
have a compass. We forget how to use it. We just need somebody to hand us this compass so we can point it. And when we're in our suffering, we get lost. We get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And then it's no longer uncomfortable, it's now comfortable.
Mm.
And so when somebody can just give us a hand up and remind us, "Hey, you can get out of this," then people can find their way out. And me too. Like, I just
Yeah.
sometimes need
Yeah.
somebody to just say, "Hey, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Quit being stuck in this space." So,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. We as human, we have a hard time to be okay with the uncomfort. Uh, and sometimes the comfort zone, right? It's also nothing bad. It's good, in the sense, but it's just like something uncomfortable because it's out of the comfort zone. But definitely when it's unpleasant also, it's when we rush to find solutions and we look outside. As I said, we're all guilty of this. um and so definitely, and it's also probably the time when you're also looking more for a counselor, a therapist, and all that, because you look for those answers. But it's as we said before, people also are used to being told what to do, not only because of this the space they found themselves in, that it's a space that is uncomfortable and pleasant, and so they looking for this immediate solution. And that's also how society works, right? Magic pills to stop the unpleasantness. And I think it's also like, well, how we're just used in society, in school, and so on. But then when we start to understand, or like learn more of how being welcomed and being guided, as you said, given a compass, like you have the compass that just support you in finding your own way, you have the answers within. The more you learn about this, the more you get empowered, and the more you start appreciating it, because you get empowered, because you get independent. And that's something that you haven't given the choice so far. You just have been, you really realize that everyone around you or society just told you what to do. And then you just, as without a compass, as you use the compass, is great. The compass help you to move through this unknown, your life, the way, your own compass, your own way, your own expression. And without that compass, listen to everyone else, you're just going round and round and round. Um, and just, you're really, at the end, you're really unsatisfied because you do something that does not resonate with you, and something within you, even though maybe you're not conscious what it is, it does yell, it does scream inside you. Just feel it's not in alignment.
And
Anyway,
I
I
love
love
what
the
you just
compass.
said about the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
We, I, worldly, operate out of fear of the unknown so much. And I might be wrong, and it might have been, I want to say it was Socrates, but I might be wrong, was going to be hung or put to death or whatever. And um, I asked, "You don't seem afraid." And he said, "Yeah, why should I be afraid? What's on the other side could be so much more beautiful than this. Wouldn't that just be amazing?" So if we went into the unknown with that same philosophy, that same perspective, just think how much better life would be. We just operate out of fear of the unknown so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to tell myself that too. You know, if we just looked at it, oh, the unknown, it might be just beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It's true, and we stay in our known, even though it doesn't resonate with us. But it's this comfort, it's this need of the mind to control, to stay safe. And that is also an instinct. There's nothing to feel bad about that. It's an instinct of preservation, survival. So we know it's there. It's there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Recognize it, and recognize that there's also much more, and we can hold both truths at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Just, it, it, We also are given discomfort to learn, to grow, right? Our soul
Mm-hmm.
needs to grow. We need to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we'll be given the same lesson over and over and over until we
Yes.
truly grow. Like, how many
Yes.
times do you have something happen, not the exact same thing, but something very similar, and you're like, oh my gosh, what lesson in this am I supposed to learn? Because clearly I haven't learned it. So we're given discomfort to grow. And that's
Mm-hmm.
another thing. If we looked at life's challenges as, okay, this is an opportunity for me. This is an opportunity for me to step into something.
Mm-hmm.
Then our challenges wouldn't be so difficult on us. It's all about our own perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guilty of that too. I mean, I can sit in my suffering on days like, God, this sucks. I don't want to be in this space. And then when I say, oh, okay, let me gather myself. There's something to be learned here. Let me appreciate this. Let me find the blessing within this. Thank you. Thank you, God,
Mm-hmm.
for giving me this challenge. Thank you, God, for giving me whatever you're
Mm-hmm.
giving me so that I can grow into something better,
Mm-hmm.
something different. You're allowing me to shift. So thank you. And when I step into that space, then the challenge isn't so challenging.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great lesson that I have received too. To like switch the discomfort, the challenge to switch all this unpleasantness into gratitude, and ask yourself the question, say, okay, what I can be grateful for, not, let's say, quote unquote, fake it, in the sense like, because like if you force it, maybe I have to be thank you for that, okay, but you're not convinced. But like ask yourself what I can be thank about this, and then you can switch it and find the gratitude. It's like, oh, I can learn this, and really like, yeah, try to, you always will find something, okay, this person did this to me and I'm very mad about that, but thank you, it's teaching me patience, it's teaching me that, it's reminding me that. And that switch really, as you said, helps to see it's more of a challenge, and everything becomes even more exciting in a sense, because at this point whatever comes your way is something you can learn and grow, and life becomes beautiful, more beautiful than it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. So true. Eh, Um, and like you just said, if you force it,
Mm,
you're not going to get out of it what was meant. If you force anything,
yeah.
just like you said, if you go outside of yourself looking for the answer and you just do that answer because
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like a good answer,
Mm-hmm.
there's no intention, there's no purpose, there's no self-fulfillment behind it, you're absolutely not going to get a win from it.
Mm,
You're just doing it to check the box.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, intention with everything. And so that just my mind just went to, I tried to do the Course in Miracles.
Oh yes.
Have you ever done it?
No, but I heard of it many times. It's beautiful.
Some of them. I bought the book, I downloaded the app, and did day one, day two, and day three, and I was on top of it for like 8 days, and then something came up and I couldn't do it that day, and then I was forcing myself to do like 3 days and one day, and then I was obligating myself to just be right on it. But then I found myself, I was just doing it to check the box, right? Like I was just doing it to say that I had done it.
Mm,
Well, then I wasn't getting out of it what I needed to get out of it. And I, and I know many people find themselves doing that. I'm just doing this to check the box. I'm not getting from this what is meant to get from it. It's like when you go to college right after high school. How many people go to college just to go to college, and they aren't going into their profession, their degree, with the intention and the purpose and the gratification of learning in that class? And we're forced to take classes Like,
Mm-hmm.
I took US history, government, and all these classes that absolutely today, I don't follow government. I don't follow politics. I don't follow history. When somebody talks about history, I check out. So how present was I in that class? And I just checked the box. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I did my homework. Oh, I took the test. Did the best I could do. Didn't care too much. So here I am still functioning like that today, and I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
So it with anything in life, just like you're saying, if you are trying to find the blessing in this challenge, and you're just saying, oh, what's the blessing, but not really looking for the blessing. Oh, I'm so blessed for this. I'm not going to get from it. So it's the same thing with everything in life. If we don't do it with intention and with a purpose, looking
Mm-hmm.
to get the self gratification, the self benefit, we're not going to get anything at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So coming back to also psychedelic or counseling integration. So coming back to your work. So with this in mind that we just said. So bringing back to the inner world, to your finding the answer within, and finding this alignment within, and not checking boxes. So how all this fit in your work or with your clients?
Oh, these are things that I absolutely teach them.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I I still get clients from attorneys, so I see
Okay.
lawsuit situations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But almost, I would say, 90% of those people continue on with me because they want to grow and learn. Because the tools that I just give them to get through what they're getting through, and whatever happened, whatever trauma happened to them, whatever
Mm-hmm.
tragedy they went through, they found benefit within their real lives. And then they wanted to continue on learning more tools, more resources, more things.
Okay.
Um, so if I can give my clients and meet them where they're at, first of all, and give them the tools and the resources to carry on, that is the best thing I can do for them. I want them to graduate from my services. I want them to progress.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have a client for 2 or 3 years. I don't want to have a client for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be, just like you had said earlier, empowered through what they gained and be able to go out into the real world. Now, if they have to come back to me because a new event, a new something happened in their life, absolutely I want to see them. Because there's always more tools. I'm learning all the time. I have ceremonies at my healing center every month. I go to our shadow ceremonies. We have those 2 to 4 times a year. I'm learning from those. We have integration calls, and I learn from my clients all the time. My integration clients, my counseling clients, and our ceremony clients. I am constantly learning from them. I'm gaining new tools all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm able to share them.
Beautiful. So as you're saying that, I was thinking, what is one of the latest tool, or maybe your favorite tool that you would love to share also with us?
I think this will go in line with what we've been talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to appreciate this. I'm gonna get a little dirty for a moment. So in every relationship, there's 3 facets. And when
Okay.
I say every relationship, I'm even talking about with your grocery clerk, with a lover, with a child, with a parent. There's 3 facets. Okay. And one, we give. But giving needs to be authentic and from the heart. Giving is with intention, not expectation. Okay? So we give. And then The other part is receive. So think about, when you see one of your favorite nieces and nephews or whatever, you run up to them and you give them a hug, right? And they receive that hug. It's love and that exchange that takes place because you're giving authentically and they're receiving authentically, and they can choose to give back. It's a beautiful exchange, right?
Mm-hmm.
We give and we receive. And when it's pure with intention and not expectation, so beneficial. But then there's those moments where you've just had a really terrible day and things just aren't going right. Friend comes over and you go up to your friend and hug. You're not giving a hug. You're not receiving a hug. Aching.
Mm-hmm.
A hug is what you need. And then that taking also isn't pure. It isn't with love. Though you needed it, you could have just said, hey, I've had a crappy day. Can you just hug me and hold me for a minute? There's also taking, where, we wake up, we stub our toe, we go to pour creamer in our coffee or, honey in our tea, and it's rotten. And then in traffic, people are cutting us off. Get home and we forgot to thaw a chicken for dinner or whatever. Then our husband walks in the door and says, hey, how was your day? And we just take out everything. Right? So give and receive and receive. So that's something that I teach, is if we can notice when we're taking or when somebody is taking it out stuff on us or trying to take our joy because they're in their suffering, we have to learn some tools to not do that, not take on other people's suffering and not take out our suffering on others. But, so that's one thing I teach, and then we learn tools from there, right? And I am a big person about communication. Hey, babe, I'm having a rough day today. Like, when I got out of bed, wasn't in the best mood. So please know I have a short fuse. Try to do my best. In your best interests, back up today. Just back up. And I can go and I can reclaim my power back to the day. Or if I'm choosing to sit in my suffering today, hey, I'm not going to reclaim my power. I just want to suffer today. I want to be an angry, bitter old lady today. So just back up. And I'll purge this energy some other way. So, give, take, and receive. That is one of my favorite tools to give people.
It is really beautiful. Thank you. I really love it explained this way. And it's true. And I think there is more of the take it in or out that happens normally when we look around and in couples and in relationships. And that's why that many relationships don't work. And I think what comes out of your explanation is the main important thing is the awareness of where you are in these 3 points. The awareness. And as we said, always awareness is always the first step of anything, any change, any progress, any of the work we're doing. Number 1 is awareness. And even the spiritual work and growth is growing awareness, because when you have awareness that you can choose, as you just said, when you have awareness, you can realize that, okay, I'm crappy today, and I can let you know. And, I can let you know that I'm going to be crappy, and I can decide to work on that, or I can decide that today I'm just going to be this way. But so I can make a conscious choice that I can work with that. And most of the time, the issue is that there is not that awareness. And so that's great that you explained this tool so that people know where they are in the three fingers.
Exactly. That's
I
why
love, I love
that's
the
why
three
I say I'm
fingers.
gonna get a little dirty here. Yeah, I love how you said awareness. I'm gonna start using that word because I usually tell people to notice. Once we begin to notice how we're showing up
Mm-hmm.
and we notice how others are showing up, healing can take place just in noticing. But I like
Yes.
that awareness. Just by being simply aware,
Mm-hmm.
healing can begin to take place.
Mm-hmm.
Shifts and transformation just in awareness. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, you changed cups or is it the same?
This is my water. So this is my water cup.
Oh, okay.
And then this is my teacup. See, the dark one has the tea.
Uh-huh.
And then I can't adult today.
That's for the finger the middle finger. That's the sign. When I'm aware I'm there, I use this cup.
Can't adult today, guys. Check it out. My child self needs a little attention.
Yeah, that's important too. So, as we are almost towards the end of our podcast, so I would like to, yeah, that's been so amazing, by the way. And I would like to ask you some maybe closing words or something you want to share again with, well, anything, but definitely it would be nice, something related to, well, like psychedelic, your any tools, maybe who wants to approach psychedelic and therapy, or both for clients and like therapists are interested in maybe approaching these tools to bring them in their toolbox in any degree or levels.
Wow. I would have to say, ooh, like going back to fear, we operate out of fear. And if we could just be open minded, open hearted, and open up our soul to receiving and surrendering to whatever is being introduced to us. I used to live off of this philosophy. If I heard of something 3 times, it's meant for me. Um, and now I've been more open to sit with something. If something is being offered to me or suggested, I really just reach deep into the awareness. Now I'm aware, right? And I go from there. I can remove the fear. And I would say anybody who is thinking about psychedelics, start asking your soul, because your soul knows. Start reaching within. Remove whatever is coming from the outside world that might be stopping you, whether you're a therapist or whether you're just an everyday, person. And if anybody is interested in reaching out to me, they're more than welcome to. I have my website. I have my HIPAA compliant phone number. And I am more than happy to talk to anyone, because I believe that our healing is sacred, our suffering is sacred, and those are both in and of the same, because we get our healing from our suffering, and we grow from our suffering. And if we could just remember that.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being with us. It's been really, really amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate.
I love you. I love you to pieces. This is awesome. You're doing a great job here. And thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who's listening. If you have any comments, questions, if you want to reach out to us, please do. Always like and share also. Thank you so much. Blessings.
Excellent. Aho, everyone.
Aho.